Hello friends of the Saba Drum page, how are you? It is me. And I am here to give you a little tour and an update with the Alesis Strike Multipad. So I've been trying to find, obviously, the right one for me. And, I think it does a lot of things really, really well. I am going to keep it as my main set, I think. It doesn't do everything, wonderfully perfect in terms of triggering and some of the things that are expected from Alesis, but it actually does some things really quite well. And I think one of the strengths itself are the sounds. Not exactly how they always trigger. So when you hear these playing examples, you will hear a little bit of machine gunning. You're going to hear some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, they all kind of do that a little bit, to be honest with you. And even with my Octopad, which is Roland, and everything is sacred with Roland, as as it's known, and it's an amazing brand. There is still triggering issues and some things of that nature that are kind of funny with the machine gunning. So again, I'm going to give you a little tour. So I'm going to turn my camera around. It's going to get a little shaky, but that's all. It's all good. I've never done that before, so I'm going to try that this time. All right, so we have the main unit here. Obviously, it has the 9 trigger pads. Most of you know this. And what I've done is something interesting where I've actually for the external triggers, which is one of the things I really like to talk about and think it's the coolest thing about these pads, I have 3 different brands. I use a Avatar dual trigger cymbal pad for my hi-hat. And the reason why I use that, I was using the original trigger pad on the unit. I was using actually this one. The reason why I didn't want to do it anymore is because I kind of wanted to take a little bit of pressure off of that pad on the unit. And so I figured using a real hi-hat pad or cymbal pad would be good. It is dual trigger, although I don't use it dual trigger. I'll explain that in a minute. I have the Lemon 13-inch snare drum, which is a really, really great piece of equipment. I recommend it highly. It's got a nice, beautiful mesh head, feels really good, and it's like a real drum. And so even though I was using a PDX 100, a PDX 100 is a great, a really, really good pad. I like the Lemon a little bit more, as more realistic look, as you can see, and it does some things really, really nicely. My newest addition is the BT1, the Roland BT1. So I'm using this as my 3-zone snare. So it's not really obviously part of the snare drum, but I'm using it as my cross stick. So I use it as the cross stick, so I can get 3 different sounds from my snare drum. I can get my head sound, my rim sound, and the cross stick. This is the Yamaha KP65 kick pad, okay? And just really quick to go over everything. What I use for my to make the videos and to make just about everything is this pile, a PM-UX9. And as you can see, I use the 2 main outputs to go into my Alesis Strike Pro or any unit that I'm using. It doesn't have to be that one. And there's an extra output for a guitar that I use with the Bluetooth receiver that I can play the tracks that I work with. And I can record my drums to that, and I mix everything. And that's how I do it. And I use the headphones out of the pile. I don't use the headphone jack out of the Alesis. And yeah, that's my unit. The trigger outputs too as well. You can see them in the back here. So I have, there's 4 trigger outputs, and 2 of them are dual zone. So what I've actually done is I use the snare drum dual zone, so it has a head and the rim. What I've done with my hi-hat and my Roland BT1, what I use my cross stick for, is actually split them. So you see the gold input is a dual trigger. So I split from the hi-hat pad to the BT1. So I used the 2 triggers, so I have 2 great sounds. So even though the Avatar is dual zone, you still get really good sound out of it from the head and the rim and the bow edge of it, the bow and the bow and like the side of it edge. So it works out really well that you don't really need to have the 2 triggers. So I have a single input going into that, still triggers really well. And yeah, the BT1 is awesome. It works really good. All these things work really good. And Alesis is, what's into the straight is that I'm using 3 different brands as the trigger inputs. And then additionally with the Yamaha on the bottom and the Alesis, I have 5 absolutely different trigger inputs for everything, which is pretty cool.